Welcome back to The Explainer. All right, so today we're diving into a seriously fascinating two-round rivalry that perfectly captures the ultimate showdown. We're talking humble ingenuity squaring off against overconfident wealth. We're going to be looking at a story that pits an entirely organic, literally homemade machine against a state-of-the-art luxury engine. It's a tale that really forces us to ask, what actually matters more? Is it the sheer amount of money you can throw at a project, or the creativity and heart you pour into it? We're going to break down both of these epic races, check out the wild vehicles our builders came up with, and see exactly how this intense competition unfolds. Let's get right into it. Right off the bat, we're dealing with some classic underdog stakes here. On one side, we've got Shiva. Now, Shiva doesn't have a lot of money, but he's incredibly innovative and resourceful. He relies entirely on nature and whatever scrap materials he can find to build his creations. And then, completely on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have Rudra. Rudra is wealthy, he's got access to all the high-tech parts you could ever want, but with that privilege comes a seriously heavy dose of arrogance. So we're not just looking at a clash of machines today, we are looking at a fundamental clash of mindsets. It's raw, creative spirit going head-to-head with a well-funded ego. So let's look at what Shiva actually brings to the table for round one. Picture this. It's a beautiful morning, and Shiva is out in his garden harvesting these heavy bags of sweet grapes. And this is exactly where his genius kicks in. Instead of just making a massive batch of grape juice or something normal, he decides to build a bike. But actually scratch that. Not just any bike, a highly unique vehicle where the entire body is crafted from these sweet grapes. It is this absolute organic masterpiece, perfectly balanced and, believe it or not, remarkably smooth on the road. I mean, just think about the level of craftsmanship it takes to literally build a functioning vehicle out of your morning fruit harvest. It is kind of hilariously absurd, but you have to admit, it's wildly inventive. Meanwhile, let's flip over and see what the competition is up to. In stark contrast to Shiva's garden creation, we've got Rudra and his friend Reba working in the comfort of their massive bungalow. They definitely aren't picking fruit. They are assembling a high-speed luxury engine. And they built this thing with one specific goal, to make the absolute fastest thing on the road. When they finally take it out to test its performance, it is as smooth as butter. Pinpoint control, perfect handling, and it easily passes every single stunt test they throw at it. It's a highly engineered marvel for sure. But here's the crucial point. You just know what's going to happen when these two entirely different worlds collide out on the street, right? So Shiva is out enjoying a smooth ride on his Grape Bike, and Rudra spots him. Now, instead of being impressed by Shiva's crazy engineering, Rudra's arrogance just completely takes over. He openly mocks Shiva. He laughs right in his face and calls the bike a fruit basket. He even jokes that Shiva could just tear off pieces of his own bike and eat them while driving. It is just a harsh, totally unwarranted insult against Shiva's hard work. And Shiva, quite rightfully, refuses to tolerate the disrespect. So instead of just walking away, he lays down the gauntlet and challenges Rudra to a high-stakes race. So now the question becomes, will nature's ingenuity or high-tech money take the win? You can literally feel the tension here. On one side, we have Rudra, who is practically glowing with overconfidence, absolutely certain that his expensive, powerful engine is just going to leave Shiva in the dust. On the other side, we have Shiva, armed with nothing but his quick thinking and a bike made out of literal grapes. It's heart versus money, plain and simple. Who is going to cross that finish line first? Let's check out the action. The countdown finishes 1, 2, 3, and boom! They are off at full speed. It is an incredibly intense neck-and-neck battle right out of the gate. Rudra, who is just desperate to prove his superiority, slams his powerful booster switch to surge ahead. But Shiva doesn't even panic. He just reaches down and hits the special power switch on his Grape Bike, boosting his own speed to match Rudra perfectly. It's this crazy real-time game of cat and mouse. Rudra overtakes Shiva, and Shiva fights right back to reclaim the lead. They are pushing these two wildly different machines to their absolute physical limits. And then, no way, the unbelievable happens. Right as they approach the finish line, disaster strikes for the favorite. Rudra's insanely expensive, highly engineered luxury bike simply cannot handle the pressure. The engine literally shatters into pieces. It just breaks apart right at the end of the race, leaving Rudra stranded on the pavement while Shiva sails across the finish line on his perfectly intact Grape Bike. It is a massive, massive upset. Shiva's organic, homemade creation proves completely superior to the fragile luxury engine. And Rudra? Well, he's forced to eat his words, apologizing to Shiva and finally admitting his arrogance was a huge mistake. Now, you'd probably think that would be the end of the rivalry, right? Lesson learned. But human nature is a funny thing. A little while later, the scene shifts and things kind of slow down. Rudra and Reba have managed to get their hands on something brand new, a beautiful high-tech drone. They're flying it up in the sky, soaring peacefully above the fields. While Shiva happens to walk by and sees this incredible piece of technology. He is genuinely amazed by it. He's never seen anything so beautiful up close before, and out of pure, innocent curiosity, he just asks Rudra how much a drone like that costs. But instead of just answering a totally simple question, Rudra reverts right back to his absolute worst self. He looks at Shiva and delivers this devastatingly cruel insult. He tells him, "You are a poor beggar. You can never buy this." He literally tells Shiva to just get away from them. I want to pause here for a second, because this is absolutely the emotional turning point of their entire rivalry. This isn't just about a silly street race anymore. This is a direct attack on Shiva's worth as a human being. It's a moment clearly designed to make Shiva feel small, incapable, and entirely limited by his lack of money. And this right here brilliantly illustrates the true strength of Shiva's character, because instead of letting that cruel insult defeat him, he takes that hurt and channels it into pure resolve. He decides he isn't just going to build another bike, he is going to build an entire airplane from scratch. He wants to prove once and for all that being poor does not mean you are incapable of achieving great things. It sounds like an impossible challenge, but his motivation at this point is just unbreakable. Okay, so how in the world does someone with zero money build an airplane? It requires some seriously incredible DIY engineering. Step 1 is actually the most crucial. He goes straight to the books. Shiva knows he can't just guess how a plane works, so he diligently reads to understand the actual rules of aerodynamics. Armed with all this new knowledge, he heads down to the local junkyard and literally digs through the scrap to find the parts he needs. He takes a smaller plane frame, uses his newfound knowledge to modify it into a larger one, slaps on a fresh coat of paint, and miraculously, he gets the engine to start. He successfully takes to the sky. Overcoming his initial fear of flying, Shiva is flawlessly controlling his new scrap-built airplane when he spots Rudra and Reba down below in the exact same field where they were flying their drone earlier. He makes this perfect landing right in front of them. Reba is absolutely astonished. She honestly can't believe Shiva actually built a working airplane. Thrilled to show off his creation, Shiva invites her in, and with zero fear whatsoever, Reba hops right into the passenger seat for a ride. Well, as you can probably imagine, seeing Reba hop into Shiva's plane sends Rudra into a complete spiral of fierce jealousy. He absolutely refuses to be outdone by someone he considers beneath him. So, what does he do? He throws his money at the problem. He immediately orders an entire truckload of airplane parts to be delivered. He stays up all night long, working these back-breaking hours, driven entirely by spite and this desperate need to prove he is better than Shiva. By morning, his expensive, shiny new airplane is ready to fly. Rudra takes to the sky, tracks down Shiva, and issues a final, ultimate challenge, an aerial race. But this time around, they aren't just racing for bragging rights. The stakes have evolved in a big way. Rudra declares that whoever wins this race in the sky will earn Reba's true friendship. The terms are officially set, the challenge is accepted, and both pilots push their throttles forward. The ultimate showdown is officially underway. Let's see how this ultimate showdown actually unfolds up in the sky. It is an intense, incredibly fast back-and-forth dogfight up in the clouds. Rudra constantly tries to use the raw, aggressive power of his expensive engine to just pull ahead, but Shiva doesn't falter for a second. And here is the absolute genius of the story's climax. Shiva takes the lead not because he has a better engine, but because he actually took the time to learn the rules of flying from his books. His deep understanding of aerodynamics allows him to totally outmaneuver Rudra's brute force. Knowledge literally defeats raw power here. Shiva expertly navigates the final turn and descends toward the field to claim his victory. Let's tally this up and take a quick look at the final scoreboard for this rivalry. In race number 1, down on the ground, Shiva's Grape Bike defeated the luxury engine. In race number 2, up in the sky, Shiva's scrap-built, knowledge-driven airplane defeated Rudra's expensive overnight build. Against all the financial odds in the world, Shiva secures a total victory, and in doing so, he rightfully wins the ultimate prize, Reba's true friendship and respect. But honestly, the real victory happens right after they land. The source text gives us this surprisingly heartwarming resolution here. Rudra, having been totally beaten twice, despite all his wealth, finally just lets his arrogance fade. He gracefully accepts defeat. He finally realizes that money doesn't make you superior and that he was incredibly wrong to insult Shiva the way he did. He sincerely apologizes for his behavior, acknowledging Shiva as the true winner and a completely worthy friend. In the end, they put the entire rivalry aside and all unite to enjoy the skies together as actual friends. Which brings us to our final takeaway for today. Shiva's incredible journey from a mocked gardener to a victorious pilot proves something really fundamental. True power doesn't come from a thick wallet, it comes from an open book and an unbreakable will. Knowledge, creativity, and hard work will always triumph over wealth and arrogance. So I want to leave you with this to think about. You have access to more knowledge today than any other generation in human history. So, what incredible thing are you going to build with your knowledge today? Thanks so much for joining me on today's Explainer, and keep building.